The St. Louis Cardinals are 28 and 21. They're 2 games back in the NL Central. They have lost the last 2 games. The offense has kind of quieted down a little bit, but I don't want to spend this episode really talking about, I feel like a lot of these episodes that I do, I talk about, oh, this player's hot, this player's cold, the pitching's good. Can the Cardinals, is this sustainable? Are the Cardinals a playoff team? Which, by the way, I did that in the last episode that we did, and I basically came to the conclusion that the Cardinals were a few pieces short. I forgot to on the episode to mention that it was center field, not a corner outfield spot. They also need a center fielder because boy, oh boy, Victor Scott. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that today because today I thought I would talk vibes. Yes, if you want to turn off the video, if you want to turn off the podcast, delete it from your queue, go ahead, because today is all about vibes, and specifically the Tarps Off thing, which I'm a little bit surprised, and maybe it's because of St. Louis, but I feel like if this was done in New York or Los Angeles, it'd be plastered wall to wall everywhere. But since it's happening in St. Louis, it gets a little feature on Sports Center or whatever. It's a fun little thing. But the Tarps Off crew and how St. Louis has been versus how I hope it becomes, right? Is in terms of being a baseball town, because it's always been a baseball town for as long as I can remember going to Busch Stadium, and I've been going there for a long time as a kid. There was always this quote unquote the Cardinal way of doing things, right? And that's great. And the Cardinals have always had veterans, and they've always been a certain way, and that works for a time, and it's worked for the Cardinals for a long time. But in recent years, that way of doing things, having veterans on the team, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, I'm not necessarily calling out any specific player or group or whatever. I'm just saying that this way of doing things, the Cardinal way, worked. But it was a bit stodgy, to steal a term from Paul Hollywood. If you know, greatest greatest baking show, British baking show. There we go. It was a bit stodgy. It was a bit boring, to be honest with you. I remember making fun of Adam Wainwright for bringing out the burger phone as a rallying cry. I've always thought that there were missed opportunities along the way that the Cardinals could, dare I say, bring fun into baseball. And it just felt like, too, with Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado mixed in with these kids, right? Mixed in with Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, etc. It just kind of felt like something was off, and that translated to the field. Like, this should have been better than what it was. And this year, I think, encapsulates potentially a different brand or a different style of Cardinals baseball. It doesn't mean the death of the Cardinal way. It just means a different Cardinal way, and I would argue, a more vibrant one, a more youthful one, a more exciting one. And I think this team, and maybe this is stupid, I don't know, I'm just speaking into a camera right now very freely, I think this team gave birth to the Tarps Off movement, because I don't know if players like Paul Goldschmidt, as great as they are, as great as they were, as players like Nolan Gorman, as great as they are, as great as they were, I don't know if those types of players inspire that kind of movement. I think it's players like JJ Weatherholt and Jordan Walker and Mason Wynn that inspire that kind of movement. Young players with energy inspire fans to do energetic things at the ballpark. And I really hope that this Tarps Off thing continues. And I'll say this first and foremost. I've had my criticisms of Ollie Marmol in the past, and I ultimately think Ollie Marmol has taken the brunt of the blame that John Mozeliak should have taken. And frankly, I think John Mozeliak does take a good share of the blame, but a lot of that gets shouldered onto Ollie Marmol, and unfairly so, I think. But I don't think Ollie Marmol has done a better job than to bring those guys into the clubhouse. Absolutely incredible clip on social media. You should go check it out. If you're a St. Louis Cardinal fan, I think it's a must watch. But this team, and again, not to be a skeptic or a fuddy-duddy or Mr. No Fun Police, party pooper. But this team is probably going to fall off at some point. I don't think that they're a bad team. I think they were underrated coming into the season because I think a lot of people thought, oh my God, Nolan Arenado's really good. Oh my God, Sonny Gray's really good. And Sonny Gray's pitching well. And Wilson Contreras and on we go. All these players, how are they going to live without these players? And they discounted the players that were already on the team. They discounted the fact that it was going to open up roles for other players to get an opportunity to hit in the middle of the order, a la Jordan Walker, right? Not saying that that's why he's breaking out this year, but sometimes you need that freedom and you need that opportunity, and I don't know, and sometimes things just click for a 23-year-old player. I think he turns 24 today, so I think it might be Jordan Walker's birthday. I might have to fact check that, but the point is that this team, I think, birthed that movement, is that fans saw this team and how energetic they were and how young they were and how they never quit. It's a fun team to watch. And like I said, I don't mean to be a party pooper, but I think that they're going to fall off a little bit. And maybe that's happening right now, but it would not shock me today if the Cardinals play the Reds today in Cincinnati. They had kind of had a weird break in their homestand, Royals, and then a day off, and then Pirates, and then now they're on the road with the Reds and the Brewers. It would not shock me at all today if the Cardinals beat the Reds 2 out of 3 or sweep them. Like, it would not shock me at all, especially with the issues the Reds have had with their bullpen. And then, of course, you got the Brewers, who might be one of the best organizations in baseball, you could argue. But anyway, and then the Cubs coming up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But I think that you have to give Ollie Marmol his credit for the Tarps Off response, because that is exactly the kind of energy that you want at the ballpark. You want it to be fun. You want it to be exciting. You want it to be an engaging fan experience. And you're seeing all these little kids in the crowd, taking their shirts off and waving them around. And it's an experience that they want to be a part of. And that's what people want. That's what young people want. And I think for so many years going to the ballpark, and I love the Cardinals and I will always go to the ballpark, but it kind of felt like it got stale. The ballpark experience, it felt like fans were like sitting back and keeping score, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that there is, but if you want to attract young people and you want to have this kind of energy, these are the things that you have to do. And it's honestly something that I've been a little bit jealous of the Cubs for, because the Cubs have the bleacher bums. Maybe this can be the St. Louis Cardinals version of the bleacher bums. I hope so, because that, whatever you want to say, it's fun. It's exciting. And in many ways, it represents this team almost perfectly. It does, because this team is young and fun and exciting, and sometimes they drive you crazy by giving up leads in the late in the ninth inning, but then they come back and walk it off, like on the 19th on Tuesday, if I'm getting my days right. Yeah, Tuesday. And then the next 2 nights they they lose, and the offense scores 2 runs total. But those are the ups and downs you get with a young team. And I just think it's great. I hope that they continue to do the Tarps Off thing. And for vibes, I think the St. Louis Cardinals, just going based on vibes, they have some of the best vibes in baseball. And if you didn't check out our last episode, I highly encourage you to do it. We basically combed through the roster. We touched on what the Cardinals might need to become contenders. And I still think that they're a couple steps away. Right. I think they need starting pitching. I think they need a center fielder. I think they need to really solve the problem at third base. Right. There are missing pieces on this team. There are holes on this roster. They need a better bench. Right. They definitely need a better bench, and they need a more stable bullpen. But even in contending years, I would argue too that there are teams that need things like this. Right. Look at the Cubs right now. The Cubs need pitching, and that the Cubs just getting completely punked by the Brewers in Wrigley. I mean, that was not great for them. And so even teams like the Cubs, who are spending like well over 200 million, which is not something that the Cardinals have ever done, are facing questions like, oh, we need this and we need that. And This is just I think these are what happens during the long grind of a 162 game season, and why we love baseball so much is because truly you never know what's going to happen. Nobody thought that this Cardinals team would be where they are right now, but they are. And it's incredible. And it isn't some fluke at this point, because I can't do. We're almost 50 games into the season. The Cardinals are 28 and 21, 2 games out of the Central, a division, the only division in baseball that every single team has a winning record almost 50 games in. It's incredible. Nobody thought that would happen, but it's happened. And it's going to be a huge week coming up, playing division rivals, the Reds and the Brewers. It's just going to be a perfect. I think it's just going to be great baseball this weekend over Memorial Day weekend. So, and let me know what you guys think of that. Let me know what you guys think of the Tarps Off. Click the like button, subscribe on the YouTube channel, give us a 5-star review on the podcast. And so those are my thoughts on the Tarps Off thing. I think it's fantastic. I think it's awesome. I think it brings youthful energy. I think it attracts young fans, which is exactly what you're looking for as a team. And the Cardinals, I will say this, I think that Tarps Off thing is going to attract fans down there. I really do. I hope ownership has some kind of monetary reward for those guys. I know they went into the clubhouse and whatnot, but I think that's going to be huge for the St. Louis Cardinals if it continues. And I hope it continues. I think it will continue, and I'll be excited. I don't know if you'll see me out there in right field. I think it's right field, waving my shirt around. I don't know if anybody wants to see that at this stage in my life. But anyway, it's fun. And just a couple notes here. Yesterday, Mason Wynn, he was in the lineup, but he went underwent an MRI. I think everything turned out to be fine. And Nathan Church, he was scratched from the lineup yesterday, but he should be back today. And the Cardinals play. When do they play? They play tonight at 5:40 Central against the Cincinnati Reds. And I guess that brings us to our What's on Tap section, brought to you by any beer company that wants to sponsor the program. Just get in touch with me, and I will be more than happy to talk to you. Kyle Leahy goes up against Chris Paddock tonight. Kyle Leahy been pitching better lately. He's 5-3, 3.94 ERA, 34 strikeouts against Paddock, who's been horrendous, 0-5 and over 7 ERA. And hopefully the Cardinals offense can get back on track at Great American Ballpark on Saturday. Andre Palante takes on Brady Singer, who's also been terrible this year and really has not lived up to the hype. I remember him as a prospect coming up through the Royals. I thought he could be something. Hasn't really panned out yet. So that could be another opportunity for the Cardinals to get on track. And then Nick Lodolo, the Cardinals will face him on Sunday, and that's a day game at 12:40. And then, like we said, the Cardinals continue on the road to Milwaukee. Michael McGreevy is going to pitch that first game, and then the dreaded TBDs are there for the Brewers and the Cardinals on Tuesday as well. And I just really hope, in closing here, this is going to be a little bit shorter episode because, vibes only, good vibes only for the St. Louis Cardinals. And I just want to remind people too, if the Cardinals start losing, it's not the end of the world. I view this season as gravy on top of mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are fantastic. Baseball is great. Having gravy on top, having the Cardinals win is fantastic. It's not going to shock me if the Cardinals stop winning, okay? And if they hit a rough patch, which might be happening right now, although it would not shock me. That's part of the youthfulness of this team and why it's exciting and why it's energetic, is because this team is fun. Like they're just fun to watch. You never know what's going to happen. I was watching that Pirates game yesterday when they're down 6-1 or 5-1 or whatever, thinking, oh, the Cardinals, you never know. The Cardinals are in this, even though the bats look pretty darn stagnant. I'm glued to my TV. I want to see JJ Weatherholt hit. I want to see Jordan Walker if he's going to hit another home run. It's exciting. And I think the Cardinals I think they've already outperformed expectations. I think they're going to continue to do that. But I don't know if this is a playoff team. I think they're another year or two away from that, a couple pieces here or there. But what's exciting is you can see, and I've said this on other podcasts, episodes before, you can see the pieces start to kind of click together. You could see maybe Matthew Liberatore as a part of the future rotation. I don't think he's an ace, but you could see him as maybe the second or third in the rotation. You can see Michael McGreevy definitely being a part of the rotation. Yeah, I think Andre Palante back end of the rotation potentially, yeah, and Kyle Leahy's been pitching better, so there are pieces here that, and I'm just talking about starting pitch. I mean, obviously JJ Weatherholt, Jordan Walker, two huge pieces of the puzzle. Jordan Walker, especially, that we didn't see coming, so it's exciting. And just wait until the Cardinals decide to spend a little bit of money, make some trades, maybe use up some of those prospects. But it would not shock me at all if the Cardinals at the trade deadline decide, let's continue down the course. Let's trade away Riley O'Brien. Let's trade Dustin May. And that's probably the right move. In fact, it is the right move if the Cardinals are out of it. So I'll leave you with that. I just think the Cardinals are in a really good space, really good place, great vibes. The Tarps Off thing is a smashing success, one of the best things I've seen at the ballpark in many, many years. Let me know what you think in the comments. Click the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Cardinals content coming your way. Go download the Believe in St. Louis Cardinals podcast, which is what this video feed feeds into. Go download that for your convenience there. And until next time, let's go Redbirds.